the two digital clocks. They're synced up perfectly.
Are they?
Yeah. Well, they're 11, 12, 13. I mean, they're
Yeah,
probably
it's
like
off.
tenths of a. I'm looking at it the same.
Milliseconds?
They're probably milliseconds off. Yes, I can't. I don't
right.
expect to be. Perfect.
I want to know how they timed that so well in Back to the Future. Like,
Right? I have no idea. Maybe they turn on the stopwatches at the same time. I don't know if that would do it.
But still,
Yeah. So we are. Thank you so much. Wow, that was quick. Thank you so much for the follow. Split End 89. Welcome to the Retro Room.
Oh, hey, Split End.
Split in.
Oh, do you guys know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here at Retro on Pod, we play retro games. We also do this live podcast where we record all our reviews of movies and games that are 15 years or older. And tonight we have Joe and Rachel, which you obviously know from Coffee and Adventure, to review DuckTales, the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, a very, very long title. But we're going to get going here when we do start. I guess I should turn this off because right now we are interacting with people. So there's no reason for that to be on.
just don't forget to turn it on. It's just
Exactly.
one more thing. One more thing.
One more thing. Okay, so let me get to here. Yes, prepare yourself.
One more thing.
For,
Yes. That was a good one.
don't encourage it. Okay, so I'll go there. Welcome. But yeah, thank you so much for the follow. And welcome to the Rewinders. I think we're good. So I guess thumbs up if you're ready for us to rock and roll with the podcast. Awesome, guys. Then here we go. Are you ready, Ashley, to do your read?
Well, Uncle Scrooge. I don't know.
That's good.
It's not going to be. It's just. Well, I'm glad Bonesaw is ready.
It's going to be better than mine, regardless.
Well,
That's
see,
true.
Francisco, you just wish that you could do all the high-pitched falsetto voices and then you do it all yourself.
Well, don't tempt him because he will.
But he can't.
Billie
Yeah.
Jean is
See?
not my love.
He will.
Something.
Just because he can't doesn't stop him.
Just a girl who claims that I am the one.
The kid is not my son.
Don't mess with me in Michael Jackson lyrics. People always told me. Okay, let's just go.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I'm like, what is that, Paul? Oh, that's Billie Jean.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3. Ugh, nothing but old robes. 40 years of searching, and I end up with Kali Baba's dirty laundry.
Well, Uncle Scrooge, at least you can listen to this episode of the Retro Rerun podcast.
Reflux capacitors fluxing. Crew to stations. Scanning for DuckTales the movie. Treasure of the Lost Lamp, 1990. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your ex own mine, Paul, the PaulJPowers.com Powers.
Zabooey!
Is it Zabu or the Shabu?
Jabooey! Whatever you want it to be.
Wow. Also, for this Shibui discussion of the film DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, we welcome back aboard and also not back aboard creators of Coffee and Adventures.
Wait, we're not welcoming them back aboard?
We're welcoming them aboard. One of them has been here before, so we're welcoming him back aboard. One
Okay.
of them has not, so we're just welcoming her aboard. Okay, Paul?
Oh, okay. So no one's not welcomed.
Exactly.
No, wait, that's two
Whack.
double negatives. Sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
We have Coffee and Adventures YouTube and Twitch channel creators here, Joe and Rachel Morgan. Hey, Joe and Rachel.
Hi.
Howdy, howdy.
Oh, hello. And in addition to Joe and Rachel, we're glad to have back aboard Administration Officer of the Pod, Ashley Ruiz. Hey, Ashley.
Hey,
And
thanks
is she
for having me
welcome?
back. What
I'll
can I
take the-
say except you're welcome?
Thanks for keeping it Disney. Let's continue. Now that you have a quick flyby of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp?
Sure. DuckTales was released in October 1989 in North America on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Oh
It was
my
developed and
gosh.
published by Capcom. And DuckTales sold approximately 1.67 million copies worldwide,
Paul,
becoming Capcom's... Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
we're actually thank you for those factoids about the game.
Yeah.
We're actually reviewing the movie DuckTales.
Are you sure? Because like your brother Keito said, it possibly could be a game. I mean, what are the odds that there hasn't been a game yet?
I mean, yeah, everyone that listens to our ship's logs probably is like, maybe this should be the game. This should be
Right.
DuckTales the game. But alas, no, the riddle was pointing to the Treasure of the Lost Lamp, not the game, which does not
That
have.
could have been brought to my attention yesterday.
Fine, I'll go and rewatch the movie. All right, DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. That one?
Yes, that one.
All right. Was released August 3rd, 1990, a year later. Runs an hour and 14 minutes and is rated G. It was directed by Bob Hatchcock and written by Alan Burnett, Carl Barks, Ted Osborne, and Al Taliaferro. Sorry, Al. With lead stars being Al Young, Terrence McGovern, Christopher Lloyd, Russi Taylor, and Rip Taylor. No relation. The music was composed by David Newman. Are you ready for the box office trivia game?
I'm ready. Ashley, Joe, and Rachel, are you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anyone here who is here live in chat, feel free to chime in and where you think DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, ranks in 1990s cinema movies. Go for it, Paul.
All right, DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, was made for about $20 million. It earned only around $18 million at the box office. So given this fact, how high in the box office do you think it ranks among the movies released theatrically in 1990? We'll go for the top 100.
Top 100. Okay, let's start with Rachel. What's your guess?
Oh gosh. Like 1 to 100?
Yes. So it ranks number one, like it got the most box office, or 100, it got like the least box
Womp
office.
90.
90. Okay. Joe, how about you?
I'll say 85.
85. Okay. Ashley.
I was gonna go with 86. When I don't know, I just go with the year that I was born.
All right.
Hey.
I just got prices rotted.
Right. Then here in chat, Dale guesses 50. Split End 89 guesses 63. Yeah, $1 Bob. Exactly. Split End. And Starbucks coming in hot with 84. Oh man, just keep
Gotta
like,
use those birth years, man.
I'm going to go with my birth year of 81.
Might be sadly disappointed, husband.
Yeah.
So, Paul, where did it end up?
Well, according to the-numbers.com, it came in just below Jetsons the movie at 65.
Okay.
Oh.
So I think
65.
Split End 89 won that.
I guessed 81, Paul.
He's
Split
guessed
End
60,
guessed 63. You said
Yeah.
69. Yeah,
65. Yes.
That means you lost, husband.
Yes, I lost. Congratulations, Split End, on winning that trivia.
Good job.
65.
Your prize is not in the mail.
Jeez.
I saw both those movies in theaters.
I
so-
did too. I had totally forgotten about
Yeah,
Jetsons.
both,
movie.
Yeah.
both of these
Yes.
movies. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The Jetsons movie was a great one, too.
yeah.
Except why is
Came
there
in
a
at-
music number in my Jetsons movie? I'm very
Because
confused.
Judy Jetson was voiced by Tiffany, and they had to show off her musical.
Wait,
chops.
no, Judy. I thought it was the alien girl that sung.
No.
Judy sung?
No,
Yeah.
it was Judy.
There might
being-
have been more than one song. I don't remember.
You know what? We're probably getting decepted over
Nope.
here.
My Jetson.
Yes. Thank you for those factoids, Paul, about DuckTales the movie, not the Jetsons the movie. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we'll get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alert, alert. Target located. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
What? Oh, is that you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, that's the wrong movie, Paul. This is DuckTales the movie.
Coming to theaters, it's all your favorite DuckTales heroes in their first big screen motion picture. They're on a fantastic journey to a faraway land, searching for the world's biggest treasure.
Jump start in the heart.
Facing evil villains. and having the time of their lives.
That's easy for you to say.
It's a DuckTales adventure so big, no TV can hold it. DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. Starts Friday, August 3rd at a theater near you.
Woohoo!
Woohoo indeed.
I have to wait till August.
Wackaroony. Have to wait. Yes, exactly. And that's what we remember is having to wait till August. But and that commercial also probably brings back some other memories. But let's see what our collective memory mind meld synopsis was for DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. Flintheart Glomgold beats Scrooge to a massive treasure in the jungle. As a condolence prize, he gives Scrooge an oil lamp, who then gives it to Huey Lewis and News. What? Huey Lewis and the News. Kids discover one of the most obnoxious and annoying genies in existence, a kid in the lamp who we feel sorry for. Klingon Doc Brown changes to cartoon duck with a magical amulet to steal back the genie and his lamp from the kids making wishes. It's a battle with Judge Doom as Scrooge falls through clouds and rescues Genie from Professor Plum. Zabooey! Yes, those were lots of Christopher Lloyd characters, but I would say those memories were decepted. There's no Flintheart Glomgold in this movie, for instance.
So weird, huh?
Right? So weird. But based on those memories, as flawed as they were, what rating did they lead you to predict for this film before you rewatched it? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic? Let's start with Rachel again. What was your prediction for this film?
My prediction was nostalgic.
Nostalgic?
Yeah.
Do you want to unpack why it was nostalgic, or are you just like, I'm going to let it lie?
Because honestly, I really couldn't remember a ton from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at it, and I swear I've had the DuckTales song in my head for like 2 weeks straight.
Nice.
And that right there is just nostalgia. So
Yes,
it kind of
yes,
ties
yes.
in with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I also went with nostalgic. That's for the same reason. It's like to me, it's not classic because I couldn't remember any of the major points of the film.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I grew up with the DuckTales, so that's going to be nostalgic for me.
Mhm.
Okay. Fantastic. Ashley, how about you?
Let's keep the nostalgic train going. For me, I rated it that way because we had it on VHS growing up, and I remember watching this movie on
Yes.
repeat in the very early 90s. And just, again, couldn't remember too much from the film, but remember enjoying it and having fond memories watching it with my family.
Nice. Paul, is the train derailed or is it keep on trucking?
Let's keep it going because I predicted nostalgic. I enjoyed watching this in the theaters and enjoyed the cartoon back in the day, but not a real desire to go ahead and dive into it again anytime soon. So while I enjoyed it then, I predicted nostalgic as well.
Okay. Very good, guys. Then, I mean, the train has left the station and made it to its destination because nostalgic was my prediction as well.
Wow, unanimous.
For predictions, yes,
Right.
unanimous prediction of nostalgic. It was. I remember it being fun. I grew up with it, so I thought it could be a fun romp again. And it'll be interesting to see if those nostalgic predictions come true. But first, let's get into our discussion of the things we liked most about DuckTales, the movie. Treasure of the Lost Lamp. Let's spin up our...
Best bets.
And I'm going to start with Joe. What was one thing you liked about this film?
There was a bird with a mustache.
That's what you liked about it? Finally,
one of the things I
birds
like.
with mustaches. I've been looking everywhere
There
for
aren't
this.
enough of them, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Oh, my word. Okay. And I mean, it wasn't just the bird. He carried his mustache
All
through
his animal
all his
forms
Yeah,
had the
all the-
mustache.
Yeah.
I actually made a note of that in my notes that there was consistencies no matter what his form was.
Yes.
He had that,
Yeah, yeah.
and I delighted in that.
Okay.
The roach form, the rat form. Yeah.
That's fair.
All the various birds, the
Wait,
bear form.
Did he have it in
The
bear
griffin.
form?
Yes,
Yeah,
he had it
the
in
griffin,
every
yeah.
single
yeah.
form. It was
All right.
consistent. It was consistently ridiculous, but it still made me chuckle every
All
time.
right. All right. Are you a fan of mustaches in general, Joe, or
Now that I can grow one, I'm a big fan.
fair?
It
Very
just took me
I-
38 years to
I
get
see your wish has finally came true.
Oh my gosh. Rachel, I wish for you to share your first like with us.
Christopher Lloyd.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
As soon as I heard his voice, it was like, oh, yes. So I'm a fan.
So Christopher Lloyd, his characterization of the character, or the character Murloc in general?
Just the fact that Christopher Lloyd did the voice pretty much.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I connect him to so many cool characters.
Yeah.
That hearing him, it was just really neat. So, and
Yeah.
I think he seems like such a cool, nice, genuine guy that
Mhm.
hearing him voice a bad guy was just
Yes.
it was kind of neat. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can
Now,
totally get behind
I
that.
also enjoyed his vocal performance on this, but I'll go ahead and put this out there. I'm wondering, did anybody feel about like half the time he just phoned it in?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I didn't notice. Very well could have, but yeah.
He got paid the same either way, so why not?
I feel like it wouldn't have taken a lot of effort for him to do something really stand out.
Yeah.
I will say this, in terms of his villains, Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit stands out way more
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
than,
true. Yeah.
than
Yeah.
this villain. So,
Now,
I'll
if
say
this
that.
film was directed by Robert Zemeckis, we may have gotten a little more takes from him on it. But,
Maybe.
He couldn't be that scary for this one, so
No.
I can't
Yeah,
scare
like-
the kids.
This was
Like-
a children's movie.
Bob
I mean-
Bob Hathcock was probably like, he's Christopher Lloyd. I want to make him read another one. Oh, that's great, Christopher. That's great. We'll go with that.
But apparently it was good enough for him to get other voice roles voicing villains.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
look at 97's Anastasia. It was
was he in that? Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
I mean,
I think
yes,
he had a
of
beard
course
in that too.
He did have a beard in that,
Yeah.
but he didn't really change forms.
No,
that
That's
wasn't-
true. That's true.
This was a lot like sunnier than Anastasia. That movie's a lot darker.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Fair enough. Ashley, what was not dark but actually light for you about? I was about to say Who Framed Roger Rabbit, about DuckTales the movie.
Not DuckTales the movie and not that.
Yes.
Well, I too enjoyed the consistencies with the mustache and all the transformations and Christopher Lloyd's delivery. Like those two things were very enjoyable. But I will say now that I know and have relevance to Indiana Jones, I appreciate this movie ever so much more because growing up,
Yeah.
I had no idea what Indiana Jones was. I didn't actually see any of the Indiana Jones movies until 2021.
Wow.
So
okay.
like
Oh.
these were just illusions that I didn't really see them. So now having that background, like I love that this movie in the very beginning it's paying like loving tribute
Yes.
and just showing like, hey, even these ducks can have an Indiana Jones-esque adventure. So I loved little homage. People might say it was a ripoff, that it was just in poor taste. People can say whatever they want, but I appreciate it more now. So I did like that. Quite a
Yeah,
bit.
absolutely. Yeah, it did feel like it felt like a Indiana Jones opener in a way, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Which
I
is
feel
a
like
good
it was.
thing.
I feel like it was
Yes.
done with respect and loving tribute. I don't feel like it was like, hey, Indiana Jones is popular. Let's see if we can just make this into a cash
Indiana
grab and try to do
Jones
that.
was influenced by the DuckTales comics
Yes,
before,
yes.
and
Yeah.
then DuckTales the cartoon was influenced by Indiana Jones movies. So they've had a love relationship of influencing each other through the years.
So the crossover is gonna be noticeable because they impacted each other.
yeah, and now
I
they're
feel like-
both owned by Disney. So
Yeah.
I
so-
feel like something similar happened with like spaghetti westerns and Japanese samurai
spaghetti.
films. They sort of lifted off each other back and forth for a while there in the 50s, 60s. Anyway, let's go with Paul next. What's something you liked about this film?
there were parts of this movie that I really enjoyed the animation on this. And what I mean is like the exaggeration of the characters' expressions were a little bit more than you normally see in a TV series, but they were still on model and they were well done. I mean, like animating that staircase at the end as it's growing and Scrooge on it is just some beautiful animation right there. There's other parts of animation that I'll say for later, but some of the parts that were well done, I thought were really well done for this. This feels like it was like in between TV animation and feature film animation. This has like an in-between valley there
No,
where
it's
this
sort of-
nests in there.
Funny about that because this team went on to make some of this direct to DVD movies. So I feel like that's sort of the quality you're speaking to.
Yeah.
The one animation scene that, for whatever reason, just you saying that jogged my memory, Paul, was where Scrooge is on his money in the money bin toward the end, and then there's this wave and undulates, and it all becomes like this like rocky lava spiky stuff.
Yeah,
and that's just such an amazing transformation.
Yeah,
and I'll also say the animations of Murloc transforming into other creatures, they were. It wasn't
fluid.
They're so fluid, and it was quick. It wasn't like a fade out, like past me fade one to in from the other.
They could have easily cheapened it and did a
but it wasn't. It didn't seem like anything like that. There were like those keyframes of the transformation, which was awesome.
So like the very beginning where Launchpad's flying the plane in. And he kind of like that just looked incredible.
Yes, absolutely. Something else that wasn't quite as incredible but made my like list was, I don't know, there's just some, and I think this is certainly you get this in the series, but the sweetness of Webby towards Scrooge, especially in the beginning, and where he's like, oh, at least it's a nice box, and like, oh, well, you can have this lamp if it makes you feel better after they lose all the treasure, and he sort of reciprocates, just like, no, that's okay. It's I thought I just really enjoyed that sweetness of their care for each other.
And you sure you weren't influenced by that because you watched it with the kids?
Probably not. No. My heart is filled with blackness and hate. In fact, I think my hot heart needs to be cooled with a Fresh Island song. I think that's what.
No.
That's a South Park reference. Me and Ashley.
That's an aside.
Yeah, that's an aside. I was just being silly. Let's go back to not an aside. Rachel, what's something else you liked about this film?
Seeing the sumo wrestling scorpions brought back like a core childhood memory because
really?
Because I remember seeing those as a kid and just thinking, oh, those are so cool.
Yeah.
So to see them again and have that memory just kind of jogged was just like, wow. It was a neat feeling.
Blast from the past.
Yeah,
right?
it was so neat.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, sort of along with that, there are so many moments in this where I was recalled to hearing the inflections and the intonations of people's voices, like Launchpad in that moment saying forward, ho, reverse, ho.
Yeah.
Keep going, I'll give you the heave ho. Just stuff like that. Yeah, but that's awesome that brought that back to memory for you, Rachel. Joe, is there something that you either remembered liking and also liked this time, or you just liked this time for the first time?
Well, yeah, it was also kind of a jogging memory, and I didn't realize this was going to be her second one either. Mine's right in line with that. Like when he throws the switch, when the villain throws the switch to drop them into the thing, and Scrooge is like sword fighting them off with his cane.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a fun moment.
Yeah.
And fights him all the way back to the water's edge.
I'll talk about that in a bit, but yeah, I that was a great moment for sure.
There's some fun, adventurous moments in this.
Yeah. I'd say that it's pretty adventurous throughout for the most part. Ashley, what's something you liked? What's something else you liked about this film?
Well, definitely seeing these moments on the screen again after it's been over 20 years since I've seen this. So it definitely lent to having moments of nostalgia watching those iconic moments. But what I was really captivated by was just how intricate some of the backgrounds in this movie were. Like when they were flying into the desert and when they were in the temple, and just how intricate and everything was. Even this background here in Scrooge's library in the city of Duckberg, and all the things that you're seeing, they're just so intricate because I think Paul alluded to this, like it's somewhere between television animation and like feature film animation. Like, but I was just so captivated by how, even though it was kind of like animation like 1.5, because you don't want to go quite to 2.0, it's like animation like 1.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just how captivated I was by so many of these backgrounds and just the realness, even though it's an animated feature and you've got anthropomorphic ducks and other animals, like just there was just so much there was so much believability to the world that they created for these characters.
Yeah.
And it was just fun to watch and just see the world that they were exploring and having their adventures in.
Very cool.
Speaking of backgrounds in the worlds, did you notice when they did a pan over Duckberg, they had the bridge going over to St. Canard, which is for you Darkwing Duck fans?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those little touches.
I forgot it was called St. Canards, but yes, I did notice that. I'm like, oh, I think that's the Darkwing Ducks Island. That's very cool.
It is. It
Awesome.
was. I thought it was fantastic.
I don't think I realized they were connected or they're that close together.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Okay, that's like two metropolitans really close together.
Yeah, in fact, it doesn't make sense. And the worlds that they build, they don't quite gel. So it's not 100% accurate in how their stories align, but you just have to go with it.
Okay, that's fair. Awesome. Paul, what do I just have to go with because you like it, apparently?
Not only did Christopher Lloyd provide a great voice acting, I thought all the characters did such a marvelous job. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of these people have passed, and so so one of the reasons why you don't get them in the reboot. But it's just so nice to hear these voices that I loved growing up and hearing them in. So I really enjoyed the voices in this.
Yes, and you know what? My next goes right into that. Is I thought Rip Taylor, who played Genie/Gene, I thought he brought so much to that character that could have easily been phoned in. But I thought he and I'm not super familiar with him. Is he like a comedian of some sort? Or?
He was back in the day.
Okay. But yeah, I just really enjoyed his characterization of Genie. Yeah. So now it's time though to get to the things we loved most, our classic makers for DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. And I'm going to start with Ashley this time.
Okay. DuckTales, what can I say? But the classic maker of any DuckTales entity for me is Scrooge McDuck himself. Alan Young is he brings so much to the character. And this character is so multifaceted. He cares about his family. He's obsessed with his money. He has a heart of gold that you kind of have to melt a little bit to get to the soft, gooey center. But he's so multidimensional and he's fun to watch, and he has so many of the best lines in this movie. Yes. And just how he is as a character, he's just so iconic and classic. And I think Alan Young's portrayal of him, not just in this, but in the DuckTales series, is why I can't watch the 2017 reboot. I just can't. I know some kids love it, and I know our kids were saying that they like the newer version more than this, and they can't understand why we like this.
Well, they liked Mrs. Beakley more in the new version, which I don't really get. She looks like a linebacker to me in the new version.
But honestly, he's a scene stealer for me. I'm glad he's the main focus because he is the heart and soul of this series. I love the relationships that he has with his nephews, his great nephews, and with his adopted niece Webby. It's just so sweet, and he has good relationships with his staff, and that they all rally together throughout the movie.
That's telling them, sir.
Exactly. With what's his name?
Is his name it's not Wadsworth.
No, it's
Duckworth.
Duckworth. His name is Duckworth, and then Mrs. Beakley. Even though he's this wealthy miser and he is very motivated by his finances, he does have a heart of gold, and he cares about all the people around him. And it just makes this movie so much better.
Yeah, awesome. Joe, what makes this movie so much better for you because it's in it?
It's you had it as a but my classic maker was Webby.
Oh, okay, really?
That scene where she comes up with the lamp and he's so downtrodden and just defeated, and she's willing to give up the only thing she's got to make him, just to try to ease his suffering a little bit. That is such a great portrayal.
Yes, absolutely. And so me and Paul, a while ago, for bonus content, we went through the first 5 episodes, or the pilot episodes of DuckTales. Do you remember why we did that, Paul?
Because we wanted to.
I was connected to something else, but I seem to recall Scrooge not liking Webby at all, thinking she was annoying. and so it's awesome seeing.
Well, he didn't
how
want these
they've
kids
grown.
dumped on him.
Yeah.
We didn't want the kids dumped on him.
Yeah, like Donald was leaving for the Navy, and then
He
Mrs.
didn't
Beakley
want-
came, and
Scrooge
there's
didn't
another
want-
kid, and yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Yes. So it is cool seeing how they've progressed. Rachel, what's the thing that's really struck you as the best part of this film?
Paul and Ashley mentioned it earlier. Actually, it's the animation.
Yeah.
Like I love the animation style. Like
Yeah.
Ashley mentioned, like the details in the backgrounds,
Mhm.
and then it was just how you could see like the brush strokes
Mhm.
in the movement of the characters, and it
Yep,
was
yep.
it was just so cool. I loved it. So
You guys are not going to love me here in about 20 minutes, but let's go.
Oh, no.
That long?
That's future us's problem.
Since we have a lot of people, you this was my classic maker, but you said it before. I'll go off that train, and I'll say that Scrooge was my classic maker. I just loved how Joe, you had mentioned how he was fine with scorpions. I felt like even before that moment, it's like as soon as Murloc was talking, he was like Johnny on the spot. He knew that was a bad guy. He had no question about it. He was making for the bridge, trying to get across. Didn't make it in time. Old duck joints or whatever. But still, he was like, he knows what's happening.
He knows what's up.
His nephews can't really get anything over on him for the most part. Sometimes they're a little slyer than him, but I love how he's just so like with it. He does get that moment, of course, where he's in prison and he's just like hopeless, but his family coming back for him rejuvenates him, and then they have a plan. I love how they write that character to be a smart adult that knows what to do, still has a heart, like you were saying, Ashley, a heart of gold, even underneath the miserliness. So yeah, I really appreciate it. And yeah, Alan Young voicing him, in my opinion, way better than David Tennant's voice. Not that David Tennant does a poor job, but my preferences will always be Alan Young.
It's just because it's what you're nostalgic for.
Yep.
What you
No,
grew
it's
up with.
because it is
Classic Scrooge?
qualitatively better, objectively better. Yeah.
It struck me watching, near the end he's falling off the side, right? And they're fighting. Murloc and him are fighting.
Uh-huh.
And Murloc's this like griffin clawing at him stuff. And he's just like ringing the cane around his neck. He doesn't care.
He doesn't care. No,
he doesn't have a parachute, but he's
Nope.
going down swinging, man.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got nothing left to lose.
Feisty.
So he's put everything on the line. He's like, I got nothing left to lose. So
Yep.
here you go, guy.
Exactly. And that leaves Paul. What's your classic maker for DuckTales the movie?
For me, I've got to go with the character design.
Okay,
It's been mentioned before, like how I don't like the reboot as much. I mean, just with the reboot has some great camera moves. There's some positive things about it, but I prefer the character design of
Just
these.
more organic, more like
Yes, it's more organic, and it's not for the people on the video, like this box cover art that is not quite right.
Yeah,
he
he never really had an Indiana Jones hat.
And just like their faces are a little too round. Like the animation, the character designs, like not only from the ducks, but also the original characters from the villain Murloc, and even the sumo wrestling crabs or whatever they were, scorpions. I mean, just the character designs I thought were really well thought out, and they fit really well together, and I just think it made the piece way better for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You mean the piece as a whole, like a art piece?
The movie was better because
the
character design elevated the movie up more.
Got it. I see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I'm glad someone is.
Yes. Well, yeah, and there was a lot to like about this film, but you know what, guys? It's probably time to get into the things we didn't like. So let's see. We're gonna start. Oh, wait a second. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes, guys. I forgot one other thing that I have to share that I liked. I know we all had an equal number, but sorry, I'm gonna exercise my captain privilege to share one more thing I liked, And that's it's something like playing games with strangers. Playing Games with Strangers is a family-friendly, actual play podcast where indie voice actors get together and play tabletop role-playing games. You can listen to the adventure unfold as they roll dice, slay monsters, and have fun. You can find that all at playinggameswithstrangers.com.
Wait, Francisco. We were reviewing DuckTales the movie. I didn't hear an announcer voice come over and say,
Disney's DuckTales will return after these messages.
so what does playing games with strangers have to do with DuckTales the movie?
Well, in DuckTales the movie, there's these scorpion monsters, and Murloc turns into monsters, and playing games with strangers. Playing games with strangers, they slay monsters, and their actual play tabletop campaigns.
Are you playing games with me? Like, what's going on here?
All right, it's not a perfect fit. I was going to do Cellcast, but I will say, Playing Games with Strangers is our newest member of Culture Box. And in case you haven't caught on, we promote other Culture Box shows in this sort of section. So, so glad to have them be a part of this. And sorry, Cellcast, we'll put you in next time. That would have been a much better fit because it's like, oh, well, they've covered this movie before. So ha, 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 Paul. But alas, I didn't get that. Would you like some trivia, though, Paul, about DuckTales the movie?
Yeah, that would be better because it's about DuckTales the movie.
All right, fine. DuckTales is back after these messages or something. Did you all realize that villains from DuckTales, the DuckTales cartoon, like Beagle Boys, Magica De Spell, and Flintheart Glomgold, do not appear in the movie because the filmmakers didn't want to confuse newcomers who had not seen the Disney afternoon cartoon?
Lame.
I was just about to say lame. You have this new... I won't get into it.
I was about to say, you have new characters anyway. Like, what difference does it make?
Okay. But regardless, my question for you all is, what villain from the cartoon would you have liked to have seen in the movie, and how would you have incorporated them? Would you have swapped them with another character? Would you worked them into a story beat somehow? What villain, and how would you have incorporated them in? Let's begin with Joe. I'm going to put you on the spot.
I had to do some research to remember who the villains from the cartoon were.
Okay, no worries.
The Beagle Boys are they come to mind, but Magica De Spell is the one I think would fit the best here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because she could have worked hand in hand, so to speak, with Murloc.
Oh, absolutely.
They're both playing in the same sandbox.
Yeah, of magic and whatnot. Absolutely.
Yeah, she could have been the main villain.
Really could have been, yes.
Yeah, could have been, because she's always against Scrooge, and she has a personal relationship with him. Like, she knows him, and she's always trying to get his number one dime, just because of what it means to him. And so it probably would honestly expand the story instead of having this random sorcerer guy. It's like Christopher Lloyd is awesome and whatnot, but it kind of disconnects you from the overall DuckTales continuity, and I understand that was their MO, but honestly, if you're using a familiar IP like that, when it was in the height of the Disney afternoon, because that premiered in 87, this was 90, it was several years in the making, and then they actually reran it until about 92. So there was familiarity. They could have gotten away with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a shame they didn't, because I wholeheartedly agree with the Magica De Spell angle. That's exactly what I wrote down.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah, and I agree with both Paul and yeah. Could have been the center of it all. Yeah.
Rachel, is it Magica De Spell for you as well, or someone else?
Okay, so I know I watched DuckTales as a kid, but I honestly have no memory of any of the characters.
I believe
I even looked up different shows from that same time period to try to jog my memory. Like, what was I watching around that time? I know I watched it. I have no memory.
Okay. What's Fat Cat doing in this movie?
So, like, I know I watched this movie because I remembered parts of it, but I have no memories of the show. So
okay, interesting.
That is a great question.
No problem. Paul, how about you?
For me, it was an easy one. That not match? Well, first of all, I would like them all. You can incorporate all of them.
Oh yeah,
but if I had
a Rogues Gallery story, that'd be fantastic. Yeah.
What if they all teamed up together?
Exactly. Yeah.
To take down Scrooge and his fortune.
Speaking of teaming up together, I thought it would have been perfect once Scrooge goes to jail is that he teams up with the Beagle Boys to get out of jail, and they know how to break into his bin and stuff. So he actually has to team up with the Beagle Boys to take that down. And so that's what I would have loved to have seen.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, I still like the angle that he knows his money bin so well that he knows how to get in, but that still was great.
So do the Beagle Boys, because how many times have they gone in?
And then they still have for whatever reason they still have one of those big robots to fight.
Yes, for the construction crew. Exactly, yes. Bring them all in.
all of them. Make this a 3-hour epoch. That's fine.
As long as it makes sense. Lord of the Rings it. Let's go.
Exactly,
3-part, 12 hours.
When is DuckTales the movie come out in 2000? It was in its heyday in the late 80s. The fans want 3 hours. Okay. Okay. Anyway.
Good luck with that.
This didn't even hit half that though. Like
Yeah.
It was a short.
It was an hour 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like 74, 75 minutes.
Hour 14. Yeah, exactly.
Dang.
Well, great trivia, Francisco.
Thank you, Paul.
And now that we've all had some trivial fun, let's find out what memories you, our awesome rewinders, had about DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp.
Yes, and if any of you here live in chat want to share your memories, just do a real capitalize memory and then share the memory after that, and we'll read those here in a second. But from locals, D. Tungsten said, if they went the wrong way to wrong way, then I remember that. Otherwise, I'm remembering the wrong DuckTales thing. I think you remember the wrong DuckTales thing. Interesting trivia about DuckTales. The giant boulder that seems like it was borrowed from Indiana Jones actually was originally in the Disney comics, upon which that series is based, and Indiana Jones took inspiration from that.
Cool.
Though I think that boulder is from one of the cartoon episodes.
I think he's saying that the boulder from Raiders of the Lost Ark was originally in the Disney comics.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
But
then
yeah. Drew says, I remember as a kid being confused as to what kind of tea party involved throwing the tea off a boat. Spoiler alert, this is how I learned about the Boston Tea Party.
See, Drew learns about U.S. history. I learned about how to put T-shirts on from old movies. It's a win-win.
It's educational.
Exactly. From Facebook, Patrick Edwards says, Christopher Lloyd makes a good villain.
He makes a great villain.
Well, that too.
Jacob B. Heron says, fun movie, and he throws a bunch of emojis in there.
Indeed. Joseph Day, one of those two, really enjoyed this movie.
And Stephen Forrester says,
he does. And then here live in chat, that's our Baba says, I remember that I haven't seen this movie in a very long time. Thank you for that insight, Baba. Oh my word. But thank you all for sharing your memories. And none of them really leads us, no one had anything bad to say about this film, but there may be some things that we didn't like watching it again. So let's spin up our
Worst clothes.
worst things about DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. And I'm going to start us off, not kick us off. Ha, Paul, you don't get to play your... Dang it! I did it!
Yay.
Harumph. And this goes pretty much right into the trivia. The lack of original DuckTales characters, and just to have them replaced by Dijon and Murloc, that whole bit, like you said, Paul, about we don't want to confuse people. Well, you're already making new characters for this that people aren't going to know. So just have a snippet that introduces the old character that won't bore the people that do know them and will introduce the people that don't. Even though most of these people, I'm sure, if they're taking their kids to this movie, they've probably seen this in some form and know some of these characters. So I would have loved to have Gizmo Duck in this.
Oh man.
I would have loved to have some of the villains like Magica or the Beagle Boys. There's so much I feel like they could have done to really zhuzh up this movie that they just didn't. Flintheart Glomgold is probably the villain I would have liked to have seen in it in some way, shape, or form. I would have loved Flintheart and Scrooge to have had to have teamed up. But
yeah, Flintheart could have been at the meeting society, but no.
And that's another thing. They could have had so many cameos at that society of those people, but no,
missed opportunities.
Yeah, they put in a character that looks like an Indiana Jones, which is kind of cool, but it's Yeah, I
Yeah.
wish they would have put in other well-known characters. So that's something I didn't like. Let's go to Ashley next.
Get out of my head, husband, because that was one of my dislikes as well. But the way that I phrased it, that it didn't have enough from the DuckTales series in the movies outside of the main characters.
Yeah, exactly.
And I basically came to the conclusion that it was just a series of missed opportunities.
Oh,
Especially,
wow.
especially like if they say, "Oh, we don't want to confuse anybody." You still have it set in the same universe. You're still using the same characters. They still go back to their hometown of Duckberg. You're referencing the money bin. You're referencing all these things that were established in other places.
Yeah.
So yes, you're establishing new continuity within this line, but there's no real introductions to these new characters.
Exactly.
Except they're just introduced on screen. And okay, cool, they're here. And there were missed opportunities because you're right. Parents who would have been taking their children to see this in the theaters, they would have already had a history, most likely with the Disney afternoon shows, maybe the comics, depending on where their introduction started. But it was definitely a missed opportunity. And even as a
tell
kid,
you what,
watching it.
Those people who knew the comics knew Mrs. Featherby. People watching the TV show is like, who's this old lady?
Probably, maybe, yes.
Wait, isn't that the...
No, but not Mrs. Beakley. Before Mrs. Beakley's introduced, while he's in the money bin, there's this old woman duck that serves him.
About your lunch.
That's
Your lunch.
that's Mrs. Featherby, who's in the comics.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. She's in the cartoon also, isn't she?
I think later she makes an appearance, but not up to this point when the movie
really?
comes
And
out.
she was in the movie first. Wasn't she
just
the
a
woman that
second.
asked about his lunch? What about your lunch?
Yeah.
So she had like a 45-second bit that she was in, but yeah,
exactly.
it was a missed opportunity.
But it was a great opportunity to have June Foray voice her, who also did the voice of Magic of the Spell and many others in the DuckTales
They already
series. So
have
that was
their
nice.
core voice cast. Why couldn't they just
Yeah, exactly.
just represent it in a different way? Disappointment.
I agree. Let's go to something that was disagreeable that Joe didn't like.
I don't like Rip Taylor's performance.
Oh, well, fine, Joe. Whatever. what don't you
To
like
me, that character, just everything about his voice and everything drives me nuts.
It's like
I
it's
don't like
sped
that
up
character.
so he doesn't sound as old, which probably just doesn't help the annoyance of it.
Well, then they put 80-year-old man eyebrows on this kid duck.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought he was fun, but I understand he can be over the top.
And that was confusing for me because I was confused why he was a kid because I thought he was supposed to be like a grown-up type genie, just like a short one.
Right.
So that did confuse me. But apparently
he was hundreds of years old, right? But
yeah, something like that.
Who are you expecting? Robin Williams?
I mean,
yes, I would have liked
that's
that.
kind of
very
what they were
much.
going for, right?
Did Aladdin come out before this or after?
After.
After.
Yeah.
Okay.
They took everything that was wrong with this and tried to make a new movie.
All right. What should they have tried to make new, in your opinion, Rachel?
So I'm trying to choose.
No worries.
I didn't like how the Middle Eastern men helping at the dig site and Dijon were portrayed. I thought it was just really like stereotypical. So just the way that they sounded when they were talking, and there was a sound in particular that one of the men made at the very beginning that was just and
Cringeworthy.
very cringe. Yeah, and how
Didn't age well.
it did not age well. So
Why can't they just sound like American? I mean, United Statesians. Yeah.
like, why can't they have actual accents instead of sort of the
The heightened eyes.
Yeah,
Oh, I could see that.
exactly.
It
It
that's
just
fair.
it sounded like
a bad
yeah.
impersonation.
a horrible impersonation. Exactly.
Again, I am shrugging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think having someone with that actual accent from that part of the country
That's fair.
would have been a lot better. So.
Yeah. as opposed to someone saying, nothing but old robes. Jeez.
Yeah. Why don't you get a real Scottish guy in here?
Wait,
Well,
Scrooge is Irish. I thought Glomgold was Scottish.
I think it might be switched.
Now you're gonna make me look it up. Continue, Rachel.
Pretty sure Macduck
I
is.
thought Scrooge was Scottish.
Yeah, Macduck is Scottish. I'm pretty sure.
Hold on.
Pretty sure it is Scottish.
Were you done, Rachel, or is there more?
Oh no, I'm done. Yeah.
Okay. Then, Paul, what's something you didn't like?
I ended off saying that the animation was pretty good, but I'm gonna start off with my dislikes. That the animation was pretty bad, at least half the time. I mean, you have like things like Kali Baba's symbol, Scrooge turning it, and it's like, it's like vibrant and separate color, and then the next scene it's like dull color, same as the background, and it's not turned. You have coins just throwing off, being disappeared, like no consistency. But the most frustrating is like the first 10 minutes, it's like beautifully shaded, but as soon as they get out of the pyramid, all the shading stops. It's like they okay, we're gonna put some money into the first 10 minutes and that's it. And it's like, I know what you're doing. Stop crapping on this movie and make it good.
Makes you wonder if they ran out of time because they spent all this time animating in the beginning and like, oh man, we're behind schedule. Hurry it up, guys.
Or they're like, you know what? We're going to put this in theaters. Let's at least make it look good at the beginning, and they won't notice when we make it look bad later.
And then they'll just walk out. It'll be okay. That's why they didn't make their ROI.
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah.
You know what? I have to say you.
Stop stealing your
Why are you
tragic
walking all
maker?
over my tragic maker? It's like you just looked at my notes and like, haha, I'll just steal Francisco's tragic maker. Haha, steal his thunder. Well, that was mine, but none. Now that'll just be a dislike, I guess.
That could be your tragic maker. If that's the worst thing about this movie to you, then it is.
No. Let's see. Yeah, the rest is really dumb. So, yeah.
Yeah, like what Yoshi said. We'll just cut the budget. It's classic Scrooge.
Save money.
But I feel the same way, Paul. I would have. Fine. Don't make a 3-hour epic, but make it all look consistent. Make it all look rich and vibrant and beautiful, just like that opening. Yeah. As soon as they get out of the pyramid, it's like, oh, let's just revert to our old ways.
So it looks like a normal TV episode.
Yeah. So that was disheartening, I guess.
That's a great way. I was thinking it, but I couldn't figure out how to put that into words. But that's perfect. Yeah, it looked great to begin on, and then like regular television.
Yeah, and I think the animation overall was still good, but the way they colored it, just went away.
Get some ILM and do some highlights and shadows throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, right. Let's have just a re-rendering of just making it look polished all the way through. Let's just do that.
Probably do that with AI now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So I did look it up, just to fact check myself. Yes, Scrooge is of Scottish descent. Yeah. And Flintheart Glomgold was originally South African, but they later changed him to be Scottish to reflect Scrooge. So
the more you know.
Exactly. And I would like to know more about something else Rachel didn't like.
This is more of like my inner child speaking.
Sure.
Scrooge McDuck has always scared me.
Like, interesting.
The second,
cranky old man. Hey, Francisco, listen up.
And I know that's his character. Like, he's Scrooge. He's grouchy and he's, but it's like he's so mean. He's so mean to everyone, and he's yelling at the people who work for him, and he's yelling at the kids. And I know, deep down, he loves them, and he always he saves them, but he's just awful. Yeah. So
in a lot of ways, he is.
Yeah.
He does care. It seems like money is almost equal to,
he values money more than his family.
Yeah,
exactly.
Often it feels that way. Yes.
So I get that that's his character, and that's how they write him and what he's supposed to be like. But it's just, I feel so bad for the kids when he's yelling at them.
Yes, exactly. Let's go to. I'm going to go back to Paul. What's something else you didn't like?
7 people dug an entire huge pyramid in an afternoon.
Right?
Yep.
Right?
I mean, they're wearing the same clothes, and it's like, talk about taking you out of the movie. What?
Yeah, I don't know why they thought they had to do that because it just is so unbelievable. I know this is
Right.
an animated film with talking ducks and stuff, but man, that's just like way out there.
Yeah.
I mean, if it said like 1 month later or something, okay, I'd be fine. But yeah, that was a bit much.
Even if it was one day later.
Darn, everybody remembers that part.
Yes, so we do remember that part. I guess, yeah, even 1 day later, maybe it was.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's fair.
With shovels, hey.
Joe, what was something you didn't like?
This was gross negligence and irresponsible parenting.
All right.
Who takes kids into a situation that dangerous?
Someone who's
We're gonna
not
go
their
with-
parent. He's
Yeah.
their great uncle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're
I
gonna
feel
go
like,
into a deep dark cave and we're gonna fight giant creatures. Like,
well, he
But
didn't know those were there.
knowing the kids, they snuck aboard.
They would have, but their junior woodchuck training saves them all.
Exactly.
You know.
true.
Yes.
Don't
I
you
know-
love how they
prepared?
Don't you love how they fixed the hole in the boat by just
stuff
stuffing
the-
backpacks in it?
Yes, yes.
Which it's nice that they didn't just like gloss over that and not have.
I was waiting for that. I'm like, oh great,
waiting
another
for that
animation
too.
error. But
I
no.
totally told you that when we were watching
Yes,
the
you
movie,
did,
Francisco. I'm
actually.
like,
Yeah.
did they address it? Oh my gosh, it's a consistency. It followed through.
Yeah.
Wow, unusual for this film.
Yes, very unusual.
But yeah, I could see. Wait, I totally lost. What did you say you didn't like, Joe? It was
the irresponsible parenting.
Oh yeah. And so I would say that. That's where I was gonna say that. I
But
think
that's
it's fun.
this series.
No, I think it's fun that they can find any answer in the Woodchuck Guidebook. Like it just has this compendium of knowledge to get out of a situation. I feel like that's a fun MacGuffin. Let's go to Ashley next. What's something else you didn't like?
I was not a big fan of the music because when you think DuckTales, you just immediately think of that banger of a theme song.
Yeah,
And
which
you
I'm
don't
so glad
actually
they have
get-
it at the end.
Yeah, you get to
Yes,
hear it at the
yes.
end, but I don't know. For me, music can make or break an entire film for me. And for the most part, like, yeah, the score is there and it's present through the scenes, but it really didn't do anything to portray any emotionality for me in the film. It was just kind of there. It was ho-hum. But and I really did. I was like missing that banger of the theme song, and I'm glad it came at the end. But I'm
Yeah.
like, dang it, man. Maybe you should have had like some more climactic music as things were happening, but it's just it was just kind of there.
So I will only give some pushback to that in that I feel like when things were tense in the pyramid with the sumo scorpions, I feel like I can recall that music very vividly. You
You have a better memory than me.
But it was just so generic.
Yeah, but I mean, it was. I don't know. It stuck with me. So that's.
Well, good,
it's only a
good for
slight
you.
pushback.
Good for
Only a
you.
slight-
But you know how heavy an influence music has on me
Yes.
and
Yeah.
how influential like movie scores can be.
Yeah.
And how I have often talked. I think this is like the third anime that I've been on, and I've always referenced music and how even like the orchestral score has been a huge part because it's not like these ducks are bursting out into song. Thank goodness. That would have been horrid. But the music just was not memorable for me in the least bit, and it really didn't do. It was just kind of filler.
Fair.
And in the background, I'm like, okay, it's here, but it's not really doing anything for me. And I was just missing the banger of the theme song, and I'm like, I'm so glad it came at the end, but it was just
Yeah.
like, man, I've been missing this.
Sorry, David Newman. You're no Randy Newman.
Though it's funny because David Newman scored the movie Serenity, the based on Firefly, and I could recognize some of the similarities in the scores. So
Even though this came like over a decade before,
Yeah,
and it's got
yeah.
anthropomorphic ducks.
yeah, I know.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
You do. And so I'll say. I did that since my Tragic Maker got eaten up by Paul.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, let's get into everyone else's Tragic Makers, and I'll give one more dislike. Let's start with Rachel, what did you hate most about your rewatch of DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Land?
Sorry, but I am not a fan of the genie. Like,
fine, guys, whatever. Jabooey.
I mean, it's we've mentioned it all before.
Yeah,
he's a kid, he's a kid genie with old man eyebrows, and he screams a lot, and it's just like he's supposed to be over the top. Yeah, he's supposed to be crazy and funny and the comedic, relief.
Yeah.
But at the end when he's like, real kid, oh, you're a real kid now. It's like, no, he's an old man. It was just so weird.
He also makes a lot of really wild, anachronistic slang. Like, he's using slang terms that he never would have been around for. Like, he was bottled up for a lot of
He read the encyclopedia in one go, though. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
And Disney saw that and say, hey, let's capitalize that on our next genie movie.
Well, I think at the very end, what did he do? He did an impersonation. Remember, I pointed it was like a James Cagney impersonation.
Yeah, James Cagney. Yep.
And that was such like, and that was just such like a.
He read it in the encyclopedia.
Sure.
Oh my goodness.
So I just thought that was kind of he was a lot.
Yeah,
he was.
So why do you think? I'm going to assume you enjoyed Robin Williams as Genie in Aladdin. Why do you think that works so much better?
You're assuming I liked him. I think Robin Williams was a comedic genius. The genie was a lot also.
Oh, okay.
It's all just that's more of like a personal thing. The loud, super obnoxious, out there characters, they're just kind of like, can we turn the TV on mute and put closed captions on for a while? Fair. That's more of a personal preference. But I remember at the first Jabooey, I was like, oh, I remember this guy. Oh yeah. So
sorry, Rip Taylor, you're no Robin Williams.
No. But yeah.
Okay.
So
thank you for expanding on that for us. Rachel.
Yeah.
Jabooey!
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow, Paul.
That's not me. That's the genie.
Oh, wow. Joe, what's your tragic maker for this film?
I really don't like watching Scrooge just snatch things out of the kids' hands. Driven by his greed. I mean,
like the lamp, or was something else?
There were a couple of different items where he grabbed something out of Webby's hands, and then he grabbed something out of one of the boys. Like,
yeah.
But it wasn't an option like, hey, hand that over. It was just like, boom, and then it was like the kid was holding that, man. You could have asked.
Hey, Joe, those things were about to bite the kids. They were lethal objects.
But you got to remember, Scrooge grew up in a time where kids should be seen and not heard, and and grab from. They're just pedestals holding objects to him.
I was gonna say, I think one of them was like one of the boys found the Kali Baba, the paper in the clothes.
Yeah.
And he just walks over and like, poof.
That's right.
It's like, man.
See, he's mean.
But you gotta understand, like, this man has spent like the last 40 years, over half of his life, like looking for this, and it's just like it's this piece of like old paper that if it's in the wrong hands, and children can be fumbly and destructive. And I mean, if you were encountering a small child with something like that, would you trust him with an old artifact like that?
I wouldn't bring them along on the trip to begin.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't either.
I was about to say that
it's like, Scrooge, you have all the money in the world. Hire a babysitter.
Yeah, sell your sandwich and hire a babysitter. Yeah, I didn't pick up on any of that, Joe, but you're right. It's like, hey, just hand that over, or give me that, or some. I mean, just some vocalizations to say that you're, like Paul said, you're not just some pedestal, some holder for my trinkets.
Yeah. You could have treated the kids a little nicer.
Yeah. I guess he needs to see how he's gonna die with the Ghost of Christmas Future to get to soften his hot heart with a cool, fresh island side. Anyway, Ashley, what's your tragic maker?
I know Rachel already talked about the genie. I couldn't stand him either.
Oh my gosh!
In addition to hating on the genie, I also didn't care a wink for the character of Dijon. He annoyed me.
Yes.
Just how he was voiced, he felt very much like a caricature of like this archetype of this one culture, and I'm like, no, this is a terrible impersonation. The fact like he's just trying to be a thief, but he's not charismatic. He's clumsy. He's adult. And I know he was supposed to be comic relief, but nothing he did was funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just thinking of him at the end where he stuffs all the coins in his pants and he's like running around. I'm like, no, you're a half-wit and you're not even funny. It would be one thing if you were like a bumbling fool, but you had any beats and you were funny, but you're not.
Yeah.
You're anytime he would say something, I'd just be like, I had the same feeling about him and the genie. They were a little over the top. They were a little too extra for me, and I cared not for him.
Yeah, I just was. There's nothing redeemable about his character for me, Dijon. I sort of dreaded him on screen pretty much every time. Every time,
like, oh, he's back. Especially when he got a hold of the lamp, and then like you see like the D on the money bin, and you're like, oh no. And then he's in that little outfit, and it's just like, oh my gosh,
like a sultan's outfit.
Yeah, like a sultan, and I'm like, no, this is too much, even for you.
Something that I thought was bizarre about that character is Dijon. That's French, and the only thing that I could think is at the end I noticed it was a French animation studio.
Oh yeah,
yes,
that's
it was.
right. That's right. Yeah,
it was.
So I'm like, okay, they threw him a bone, right? Like,
yes, exactly.
It made no sense that a guy that would be from the Middle East was named after a French mustard.
Yeah, no. I just kept thinking, okay, mustard man. And every time it came out, I'm just like, that's all I would just think about the dish. Why would anyone have this name? This is ridiculous. Wackaroony.
So
I liked him more when I first saw him in the theater when it came out.
Okay. Dijon.
Yeah. Maybe my cold, hard heart got like yours, and now I don't care for such antics. I don't know. I remember him appearing later in some of the episodes later of DuckTales after the movie came out, like here and there.
Oh, really? He was?
So he was a liked enough character at the time, but it's probably something Disney wants to hide right now.
Yeah, anything that's insulting to other cultures where it's just a terrible impersonation, they want to shelve as much of that as they possibly can.
It's important for our history, guys. Come on.
Learn from their mistakes.
Let's see. I'm going to say, I'll say this was one of my other dislikes. And this goes to you guys dunking on the genie. But this actually, I don't understand. He makes a reference to the Boston Tea Party, which is how Drew learned about the Boston Tea Party. I think it was Drew. Yeah. So does Duckberg exist in the United States? And if so, is it an alternate United States? Or how does that work? Yes, that is? Okay.
Yes. It's kind of like Metropolis and Gotham, the DC.
I was saying Gotham City.
Okay. All right. Okay. It's just multiverse, but with
anthropomorphic ducks and other animals.
Of course.
Yeah.
Then
I mean, Marvel has anthropomorphic ducks.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's true.
With
everybody
Howard
does.
The duck.
A whole bunch more ducks if you ever seen the movie. Not that I recommend it.
Oh yeah, in the beginning, that's right. All right, Paul, let's cap this off. What's the thing you hate most about this one? With the genie, you hate the genie. I get it.
No. I'm gonna go in a totally different direction. But my viewing experience this time, granted, is probably my mood, probably lack of sleep, but I was absolutely bored through most of it.
You know, I was approaching that sort of sleepy moment in this film toward like the party with the exploration event.
Yeah, when he tries to gloat like, hey, I do have the treasure. Exactly. Yes. It didn't really pick up for me until not when they were sneaking in, but like as soon as the bin started transforming into Casa de Cuckoo. Then it started to pick up again. But I don't know if I'm just used to movies a little more action, a little more paced well or something. But for me, it was kind of a slugfest to get through, unfortunately.
No, I could feel that same way. It wasn't too much of that. It's just sort of that brief sort of like, okay, where are we? Oh, okay. Oh, here we go. because it did pick up for me when they're getting back into the money bin. That's
Right.
was much more like, oh, okay, what's going to happen now? But,
I'm not going to use my classic slow and boring because it wasn't that slow. It was just more boring. Like I didn't care. Like the stakes weren't up enough, I guess. I don't know how you can make it better, but or worse.
Okay, here's how you make it better.
All right. Is this fabulous fan fiction?
Just goes fabulous fan
This will fix a
fiction.
lot of it. Okay.
All right.
It's not so fabulous.
What did you talk about, Ashley? It's remarkably fabulous.
No.
Fabulous.
So we were talking about how Dijon's sort of a lame duck character.
I thought he was a mustard man.
Well,
He's a mustard man.
here's what I think would be a lot more interesting and build more stakes inherently is if somehow if Murloc maybe mind controlled Launchpad, a character that they sort of depend on to get places, and then Launchpad could be in the movie a bit more than he is, and he's like sort of like he seems like he's acting normal, but maybe internally he's trying to fight it or something. But this mind control from Murloc.
Oh, interesting.
But then
You've been watching
Maybe.
too much DBZ, Francisco. Way too much DBZ. That is all I have to say.
Spoiler:
to you.
I'm not there yet.
yeah, no,
I'm still in DB, not DBZ.
We won't say more about that, but yeah, I think that would be a lot more interesting. And then there's this whole dynamic of maybe they're trying to break the spell over. They find out Murloc's controlling him, so they're trying to break the spell.
You mean Magic a Dispel?
Yes, exactly.
But maybe, he has
in this too.
But maybe he has some internal conflict about it. Maybe he's fighting against it.
And maybe he doesn't want to help like with the flying over the money bin because of that. And so, but Scrooge's like, but this is the only way we can do this. We need you. And like, yeah, I think there'd be a lot more interesting dynamics if something like that were to happen.
Interesting.
Perhaps.
Maybe, but I don't.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll say Murloc. It just struck me like he's supposed to be this all-powerful sorcerer, right? He doesn't do anything but shapeshift.
No, he shapeshifts and then he has this talisman that he puts over the lamp, and it's like, ooh, I have unlimited wishes now.
But like this dude wouldn't have needed Dijon if he was using any sort of special powers, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, my last name's Powers, and look how many I have.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
The powers of observation.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It kind of works, husband.
I think it was fabulous. In fact, it works so much.
Fabulously influenced by the Boo Saga of
Dang
DBZ.
it.
Sorry, Akira Toriyama.
He's not the first one to do it, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but
all right.
it's where you most recently saw it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I am influenced by no one
Lies.
or nothing.
Don't believe his lies.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, lads.
Wow. Anyway, now that we've all entered our trajectories into the firing computer, Alice, do you have a firing solution for us?
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo at the ready. On your mark.
Firing solution sounds like she has salvo authority.
Do we rate DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, a classic? We'd recommend anyone go see this film, whether or not they've seen it before. A nostalgic, it's worth a rewatch if you saw it as a kid and you remember liking it. Yeah, go give it another view. You'll probably enjoy it again. But if you've never seen it before, keep it that way. Or do we rate it a tragic? It's not worth anyone's time. If you've never seen it before, definitely keep it that way. And if you have seen it before, don't sully any good memories you have of it with a rewatch. So let's start with our newest guest, Rachel. What is your final rating for DuckTales the movie?
Nostalgic.
Nostalgic. You had predicted that, and it ended up nostalgic. So why did it stay the same for you, would you say?
Because I just felt the same way throughout, uncovering new memories. Like we were watching it, and I probably made Joe crazy because throughout I was like, I remember that. Oh my gosh, that's right. I remember that. So it was just the whole thing was literally nostalgic because and I remember telling Joe at the end, like, I'm surprised how much I actually enjoyed this movie. Just because of so lots of warm fuzzies.
It's a fun trip down memory lane.
It was,
yeah. Very fun. Joe, you likewise predicted nostalgic. Was it a fun trip down memory lane for you, or something even better or worse?
Yeah, I think it was also nostalgic for me. That's
okay.
I don't think it has the power in my mind to, I don't know that a lot of today's youth would be able to go back to it with the same appreciation that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
would guess 0.
Oh, come on, Paul. No, that's totally fair. Ashley, how about you? Where did you land on this for Rain DuckTales?
Well, the train is still on the way to the nostalgic station because even with a rewatch, and it's been over 20 years since I've seen this film, even with all the things that I don't like about it, there's still more that I do like. And it's the connection that I have to the film and the memories watching it with my family, being there in the theater as a little girl and just kind of re-engaging with those moments just upon rewatch and being able to continue. It's any kind of thing like that. If I grew up with it, even if it's not the greatest thing, and we can acknowledge that there's parts of this that probably should stay buried, and I don't know, but nostalgic. Yeah, I'm gonna keep on my nostalgic goggles.
All right. And before we get to me and Paul's Rain, we go out to everyone who supports the podcast over on Locals, retrorewindpod.locals.com. And you get to have a say in these episodes. So we average your votes together. And with the votes you guys all left us, thank you for those, by the way, you guys rated DuckTales the movie a nostalgic as well. So
they're
still
on the train
course.
too, huh?
But Paul,
Chugga chugga choo choo.
how do you rate this?
All
film?
aboard.
Let's keep this train going because
Oh,
I say nostalgic as well. I think if you're a DuckTales fan, I would recommend this. I can't recommend it for everybody, just for all the reasons that we said. But yeah, it's not terrible. There are good parts that we mentioned, so nostalgic.
All right. And you know what? This train crashes at the end because I rated this a tragic. Just barely, though.
You would.
Just
I'm not
That's
surprised.
supposed to mean.
Well, it's Disney. Isn't that
It's
you got
Disney.
it?
And no matter how attached you are to something from your childhood,
Hey.
you're more attached to DuckTales in the Disney afternoon than you are to this piece of cinematic history.
What's funny is I was about to go back to the last one and said, "Great Mouse Detective." I rated that tragic also.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah. We knew that was coming.
You didn't know for sure.
Yes,
and
I didn't.
I think she
know,
did.
but I knew.
She provided a great explanation as well.
I know you. Tragic is what you were.
There were so many parts of this that if they just adjusted it a little bit, it would have been nostalgic, if not classic. If they had animation that was of the quality of the first 10 minutes throughout, it would have been nostalgic. If they had a better score, that didn't bother me as much. But if there was like really hummable interludes and stuff and themes, it would have been nostalgic. If they had brought back cast or more of the cast from the series, it could have very easily been a classic, I think, because you're just really hitting all those awesome moments of like, this is an event.
Right.
And so because just none of those hit, and there's just things that were annoyances. And I will say, I didn't like the genie character all that much. I just thought Rip Taylor did a good job bringing a characterization to him. So I
can sum this up in one hashtag for you. DuckTales the movie. Hashtag the series was better. Sign up by Captain Francisco.
I don't know. If you rewatch the series, it can
slow and boring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
some episodes are better than
I
others.
have a feeling that El Capitan would sign off more on the series than he would on this feature film.
Probably.
Let's review Super DuckTales.
What's Super DuckTales?
That's I think it's a 4-part episode is that the origin of Gizmo Duck?
Oh,
I
really?
love
I would love to
Gizmo.
do that. I love Gizmo Duck too. Blathering blatherskite.
You like saying that?
I do like saying that.
It actually came out before this movie.
Oh.
It was a 5-part serial. The second season came out in 1989.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I would think. I don't know why they wanted to capitalize on the Gizmo.
Yeah,
Duck.
it was the
Popularity
introduction
down in-
of Fenton Crackshell. So I was
Okay.
wondering, like, when you mentioned Gizmo Duck, I was like, I think that came out before. It was actually I mean, that I thought it came out after, but it was actually a year before. So, yeah, no, Francisco, I'm gonna have to agree with you. If they did all their like villains and all their team ups, I mean, worthy of a movie, let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds a lot closer to a classic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but with all our reigns combined, the Retro Rewind podcast rates DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, a slightly disputed nostalgic film. We'd recommend if you enjoyed it as a kid or have enjoyed it previously, it's worth your time to rewatch today. But if you've never seen it before, don't take the time to watch it, unless maybe you're a super uber DuckTales fan. But now it's time to get back to our own time, good old 20XX.
20XX?
Receiving incoming transmission.
Oh, feels good to be back. But we wouldn't have been pay no attention to me hating the lights of this set. Feels good to be back, but we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 1990 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Deborah Powers, Geek Devotions, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Ruiz, you're right here. Woohoo! Kennethan, Fabulous Lomax, Rosie Lomax, That's Our Babo, D. Tungsten, Dale, Mr. Lost, Daryl Hafner, Cool Deluxe, Redeemed Otaku, in addition to 2 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help us keep flying and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to start.
Disturbs this stream, sponsored by PaulJPowers.com.
It is I, PaulJPowers.com.
Proceed.
Thank you. And while we're thanking everybody, what did you do here?
Now? This is new, Paul. That's why I highlighted it in green.
Sorry, I did not see this.
I guess you should. I guess I should put this on the checklist. Edna mode. By the way, yes.
All right, hold on.
Surprise.
While we're thanking our, okay. And while we're thanking people, are there?
Are you actually doing this, or you?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, end of Edna mode.
Okay. Did someone wait before we ended? Did you have something to add, Ashley, or somebody said something? No. Okay.
Oh, Ashley said she's surprised that was the first Edna mode. I think that's me.
That's true. I'm surprised too.
I think the credit goes to Joe, Rachel, and Ashley on that. Good job for no Edna modes.
We were prepared.
Yeah. Thanks. All right. And while we're thanking people, hey Francisco,
Oh, that's just how you want to start?
Yes, because I was saying thank you before the Edna mode.
But you don't. But I would just.
All right.
Head over to retrorunpodcast.com/support to start.
All right. Hey, are there any free ways to support? Sorry, take 2. Are there any free ways to show some support? Are there any free ways to show? So I'm talking. All right. Hey, Francisco.
Yeah, there you go. Yes,
All right.
Hey, Francisco.
Hey, Francisco. Are there any free ways to show some support?
Oh, actually, yeah. You probably enjoyed
all these outtakes.
This should be like Edna times 3
no,
by now, guys.
No. Okay.
That we're making up for all the other ones.
Edna.
No.
Track it, I say.
You don't have to track it.
Track the
This
Edna.
is all one
Track
big
it, I
Edna.
say. No, it's like numero trace.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Okay, Paul, you did a good line read. I'll do this now.
All right.
Actually, yeah. So you probably enjoyed this episode if you made it this far. So if you aren't driving, why don't you tap the share icon in your podcast player for this episode and send it to a friend saying, I know you like DuckTales, the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. I mean, that'd be annoying to type all that out. I know you like DuckTales. So I thought you might like this episode, this podcast on it. That'd be a great way. So sharing this episode through your podcast app, real quick, easy way to do it. That'd be a great way of support.
Cool. I bet they will thank you for it. Or I hope. And speaking of thanking people, we also want to give a big duck hug to Joe and Rachel Morgan and Ashley Ruiz for supporting us with their thoughts about DuckTales, the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp tonight.
Yes.
So, Joe and Rachel, we'll start with you. Where can people find you online? Or is there anything cool you got going on that people should know about?
Yes, you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/coffeeandadventure. We actually just made YouTube partner yesterday as of
All right.
We're doing game reviews and let's plays, but the stuff that we've been doing, focusing on a lot lately, has been music reactions to an artist named NF.
Oh yeah.
And that has been incredible engagement. We've gotten to share our story and our faith with a lot of people.
Oh, that's
Very
great.
So we love for you to come over there and check it out and join the community.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being on.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
National football. Check them out. All right. No, that's not. And Ashley, where can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on?
Not really, but you can find me on Twitter at Ashley Ruiz 1186. Find me tweeting about various fandoms and my faith.
Awesome. Thank you,
Nice.
Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Dang it. Edna numero cuatro.
No.
Yes.
Mine is.
Yeah.
I wish
5.
to free the genie.
Thank you again so much, Joe, Rachel, Ashley, my awesome DuckTales adventure loving friend Paul, and all you rewinders, new or old, for another fun voyage.
Woohoo!
Nice.
You're welcome, and you can find me, pauljpowers.com, at pauljpowers.com.
And you can find me on our Discord for show announcements or just to say hi. Join us there at retrorewindpodcast.com/Discord.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
I think the Cave of Wonders just cleared his throat. Good.
Oh my gosh.
All right. As he was saying, we are now part of Culture Box Media Network. Find all the shows unpacking truth through story, comedy, and geekery at culturebox.media. And with that, Captain, it looks like we need to wait for the next riddle to unlock. Through Jared's maze, the doom of... Wait, is it? It's not
Riddle Labyrinth. Fourth dimension of doom.
Fourth dimension of doom. I'm sorry, I'm fading. It's
You are, Paul. Yes. Thank you, EXO, and thank you all for listening. We pray you are more joyful today than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for the next episode, wherever that is. Help us figure it out by listening to our ship's logs, sending us an audio message of what you think the answer to the riddles in those ship's logs are, and we'll catch you in that next episode.
Fourth dimension of Doom mission complete. Decoding next riddle. View RRP ship's logs for more details.
Whoa, what a ride! Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing it again, now that I know you can live through it. Shaboing!
Oh my gosh.
No buoy.
Gotta go clean. Okay, good luck, Apple Dance. Let me turn this off for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start the spiritual speculation here in a second, guys. But if you need to use the restroom, get water, or anything, now is the time to do that.
How's Bowser doing?
He's out cold.
Okay.
Aw,
Don't wake him up. We're gonna let him sleep.
How old is Bowser now?
13.
Oh, doggo.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
He's got arthritis.
Oh, poor doggo. How old is Bentley now, Paul?
10.
10. Wow. Craziness.
Yeah.
All you dog owners, jeez.
He's as old as your number one.
Yeah. Paul, I think I may have us start doing spiritual speculations not live, just so it's a little bit more special for people that are supporting.
Understood.
But since I haven't thought through that exactly how that switch is going to look, we're just going to go forward for tonight. let's see here. So, thumbs up if you are ready to go with the spiritual speculation part. Are you looking for a sound?
Okay, Power Rangers, let's do it!
I was like, Paul's not giving me a thumbs up. He must be looking for a soundboard clip.
Always.
All right, here we go. Let's go going. Wow. And by the way, I do want to say thank you, Neko, Appledance, Bobo, Yoshi, Dale, Drew, I think I saw in here, Geek Devotions, Lusty, everyone who's come over, who's been here. Appreciate you all.
I like that one.
I would suggest listening to our Great Mouse Detective episode then. Why that's connected? Well, you have to listen. Okay.
Anyway, lads.
But yeah, thank you all for being here. And here we go into spiritual speculation. Welcome, Reflexipastors, to another spiritual speculation where we examine the spiritual themes and questions that the movies we cover on the podcast prompt us to think about. Tonight we're going to be discussing the spiritual elements of DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. If you want to listen to that review, you can listen to it over at retrorewindpodcast.com/277. You don't have to have listened to the review to get anything out of this. Hopefully not. But sometimes the humor carries over. So if you want to be in on the joke, listen to the review first before you listen to this. But before we get into the spiritual discussion, let's go around real quick and say who we are, what our faith life was growing up, and what we currently believe today. So my name is Francisco. I was raised Presbyterian and currently a non-denominational Protestant Christian. Let's go with Ashley next.
Hi, my name is Ashley. I was raised Catholic and currently a non-denominational Protestant Christian.
All right. And Joe?
My name's Joe Morgan. I was raised Church of Christ. We are the ones without instruments in worship. And that's what I still am.
Okay. And Rachel.
My name is Rachel. I was not raised in the church at all. I've only been a Christian since, let's see, probably about 15, 17 years.
Okay, cool.
And I'm Church of Christ with Joe.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And Scrooge McPaul.
So when I was younger, I had this lamp that granted me wishes, and I lost it, and I spent most of my life running after it.
Sure.
And then I fell off of a giant castle, and as I was plummeting down, I realized this pursuit of worldly riches is getting me nowhere, and I gave my life to Christ.
Oh, well, that's amazing, Paul. Again, you live such a storied life that your conversion story always seems to have some connection to the movies we covered.
Hey, that's not my fault.
Very inspired.
It's like your Kramer who sold all his stories to J. Peterson, I think, and Seinfeld, and now you can't tell those stories anymore because they're bought by Disney. Anyway, guys, let's start with Paul. What's something spiritually speaking that you saw in this film?
So recently I was watching another movie about a genie, and they actually called him because it was set in the world of Saudi Arabia, that area, Middle Eastern area, they called him a jinn.
A jinn, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I didn't realize till actually in the past few years that's where we get genie from.
Mm-hmm.
And jinn, and depending on who you ask and what is a jinn, it's basically a demon if you follow some of the lineage. So if you found a genie or a jinn in a bottle granting you 3 wishes, now a lot of these genie in the bottle stories were kind of like cautionary tales.
Yeah.
But if you found a genie in a bottle, would you take your 3 wishes knowing that it was a demon? Because before I'd be like, oh, heck yeah. But knowing it's a demon, I'd be like,
Yeah, that kind of puts a different light on it.
Yeah.
It definitely does, because
Yeah.
you think when you see this as a kid and you don't have that connotation, you're like, wow, 3 wishes? awesome. The only
Yeah.
connotations is like you just can't wish for more wishes. And then of
Right.
course the rules that are established in Aladdin. So you kind of have a baseline for what you can and cannot wish for. But yeah, you never stop to think about where that
Where did
power
it get
is
its
coming
pointy
from.
ears from?
Yeah, where did it get its power from?
Yeah.
Where is this magic coming from
Yeah.
that creates all these wishes? But yeah, having that context, I'd be hesitant because it'd be like,
I guess I think it might be fun to wish it to proclaim the name Jesus Christ as the ultimate creator of the universe and to have it just like scorch in pain as it's having to say that out loud. I think that might be fun.
Here's the thing, though.
You want to torture the demon? Okay.
Even the demons believe in Trimble, right? Like they
Right.
already know.
Yeah.
they proclaim
sure.
that Christ is Lord.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're doing it in like a worshipful way. And that's
No,
what
no.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I'd want. So
Yeah.
Pray for the demon to be saved.
no, see,
Oh, you
wish-
could wish the demon.
wish the demon to be
I
saved.
considered that, but I think that'd be going against what God ultimately wanted and the choice that the demon made. So
Free choice, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Demons
But
have free will.
that's why I was like, oh, let's just torture him because I'm
Genie don't have
just-
free will, though.
I was gonna say, but if it's a demon, do demons have free will?
Well,
Well,
they
that's-
chose not to follow
Yes,
God,
they
so in
did.
that way,
But
they
there
did.
are I know people who believe like angels and they had free will at that one time and that was their only choice and now they don't.
Oh,
But
really?
I don't
Huh.
personally believe that.
Yeah,
But yeah, but
don't
I
know.
know people that do.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's hard to argue against either way, but
I mean, that's like saying once we're in heaven, we don't have free will anymore.
right.
don't
And I
believe
know
that.
there are people that believe that as well.
Really?
It's like, yeah. It's
Oh.
kind of
Give me names, Paul.
all right, I'll tell you
Names.
afterwards. No, I'm not gonna
Now
betray
that you've
people
opened
like
this
that.
Pandora's box, and now I'm making this parallel, like you say, like, okay, genies are enslaved to their master, to this lamp, and how without Christ we're slaves to sin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So there's all these parallels, but I'm intrigued to
Well,
think
you're
about-
a slave either way, right?
Does that make
Well-
Scrooge Jesus because he freed the genie from his?
Oh.
He's not a Jesus allegory, Duck. We already have a Jesus allegory lion in the Chronicles of Narnia. We don't need any more Jesus allegory anthropomorphic animals.
Here's
A
the thing,
cranky
though.
Jesus allegory. Okay.
Anything like any sort of a truthful theme in a story is a reflection of God's greater story in some facets. So,
And of Jesus, because he is the way, the truth, and the life.
And the life.
yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes,
So,
yes.
but I think it is a stretch to say that Scrooge is a Jesus allegory. in
No,
any way,
no,
yeah.
I wouldn't call him a Jesus allegory, but there are things
Where-
that
where-
this movie made me did think about, though.
Where your
Yeah.
money is, your money bin is also. I think that is
For
in
where
the
your
Bible.
heart is, there your treasure is.
know, that's
Also,
the-
Francisco.
That's the joke I was making.
No, we don't joke about scripture.
I can joke.
Or
about
do we?
I'm choosing
Or
not to
should
at this
we?
moment.
Maybe that's the spiritual speculation.
Oh,
I
part.
was gonna
man.
say I could quote Jurassic Park now, but I'm not going to.
I guess if I'm joking, I'm just
Oh,
sticking
yeah.
daggers in your guys' back, huh? Yeah, we're gonna go back to that one. Okay.
All right, hold on to your butts.
It's previous spiritual speculation. Go back. I think that was just last time. Great Mouse Detective. Anyway, did everyone have an opportunity to answer that question? Would you make wishes if you knew it was a demon?
Would not.
Oh,
We're not. No.
Not with a 39.5-foot pole.
Yeah.
Get away from
Wah,
me,
wah, wah,
demon.
wah, wah.
Exactly.
I think Paul, you said no. You're used to.
I,
but
I
not
would
anymore.
be hesitant. I would be like, is there, like you, Francisco, is there a way I can get away with this? But
Yeah.
Walk
probably,
the line.
yeah, I don't know if
Test
it's
the
worth it.
boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but what a story to tell. Let's go for it. It's kind of,
Can I wish that the Holy Spirit reveals
I
himself
wish no
to-
bad repercussions would happen with my remaining 2 wishes.
Exactly.
But
Okay.
could you wish on the demon like I wish Christ would return now? Could you wish the second coming of Christ into existence?
See, I
know.
think that wouldn't really happen. It would look like it, and you'd be tortured in it for wishing something
Yeah.
like
Ha ha!
that.
It's just the Antichrist.
Something like that. So it's probably better just to stay away from it all. Instead
Yeah,
of
I think
testing
so
it.
too. Yeah,
Because that's like playing with fire.
exactly.
Except you lit your hand in lighter fluid before you lit the match.
Ooh,
Yeah.
good word picture. Yeah. Awesome. Let's go to Rachel next. Unless anyone had any more thoughts on that, we can go to Rachel next for your spiritual speculation.
I kind of feel like this is something that everyone could connect to Scrooge McDuck. Basically, it was let's see, Matthew 6:19 through 21. Do not lay for yourself treasures on earth.
Oh,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because Scrooge is all about have to have all of the wealth and all of the stuff, and it's all about just having all of the money and all of
Yeah.
So that really right away, like I of course not being a Christian as a child and watching this movie and then being an adult and more knowledgeable and being a Christian now, right away that connected with me, and it was like, wow,
Yeah.
Because
I was about to say in verse 22 it says the eye is the lamp of the body. Does that mean there's like a never mind.
You're gonna release a demon when you're going to bed.
Exactly. If I rub my eye really hard, does that release a demon?
What's interesting that you bring that verse up, Paul, is that most people equate that verse to what you look at, but given where that's structured in if I'm remembering this right, where it's placed in the context of the fuller passage, it's actually about your finances and giving money to the poor, something. There's some element of that to it, rather than or greediness, rather than.
Can you unpack that a little more? Because that sounds interesting.
What's the verse? Because I want to read it more in context.
It's Matthew 6:22. But what I'm sorry, I forgot your name. I don't know if you're coffee or adventure. Rachel.
We've only been podcasting with you for the last hour and 40 minutes.
I'm sorry, I am just terrible with names.
You are. I'm giving you a hard time, Paul. I know
yeah, but she has
Coffee and Adventure.
Yeah. What was your full passage that you quoted for Francisco?
Do you want me to read it again? Or
just the reference.
It was Matthew 6:19 through 21. Do you want me to read the next section?
So 22 is where the lamp begins.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So exactly. So this is exactly what I was saying. So 19 is, do not store up for yourself treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Finance section. Now think of it like a sandwich. Now we have the eye is the lamp of the body. So when your eye is clear, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If the light that is in you is darkness, how great is your darkness? So that's the middle. Then no one can serve two masters. This is the bottom bun. No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he'll devote to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth. So the whole thing is about finances. That middle part is the eye of the body is about your generosity, if I'm remembering right.
What?
Instead of,
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just trying to understand.
Because I think the eye of the body is actually a reference in that culture to, like, there's the evil eye. There's different ways of looking at it. Let me see. I'm gonna have to look up a commentary now.
I've never really looked at it in this aspect, but this is a Middle Eastern culture, and it's talking about the lamp of the body. Now, the lamp that is used here is like an oil lamp. It's kind of like a candle where you light it, right? So they're saying that the eye is the light or the source of light. So how is that in reference to finances?
Because if you're I'm just gonna butcher this. This is my best attempt to recall it. Essentially, if you're actually go back to the verse.
Your eyes are
Eyes clear,
healthy,
your
then your
body
whole
full.
body.
So
will be
if
full.
you're
But if
willing
your
to be
eyes
generous,
are unhealthy,
if you're willing to be generous, you're going to give what you can to others, and you won't hold on to the wealth and think that it will start to possess you if you're holding on to the wealth.
oh,
Whereas if
so
you're giving it away,
light is kind of like how he says to be salt of the earth. It's supposed to be like
something that shines to others. You're supposed to give it away.
So
you're
it's supposed to.
exactly.
Okay, so
whereas darkness sucks in the light, and so your whole body will be full of darkness because you're being very possessive, keeping to yourself.
Oh, interesting. All right, maybe.
Yeah, I
I
know I've read a commentary that sort of goes into that
Yeah.
or something. I'm sorry, I'm not articulating it very
well. I think I have to ask Jesus about this. He's the one that said it. Did you mean about finances here when you were talking about an oil lamp?
Very
No, but that's interesting. If somebody who's listening wants to try to write in or call in or whatever to further unpack that for us, if they think they have a good explanation, please do.
Either for or against that. If you think there's a better explanation saying no, it's about I hear that come up in a lot of ways in terms of the content you consume. That if you let this, if you see stuff that's bad, it's going to poison you. And that's
right.
How
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
Kind of
exactly.
Thing. Right.
Maybe there's a much better argument that says that is what it is, but I feel like it's more compelling to say, in the context of the verses above it and below it, it's more about your finances and
it's definitely about finances before and after.
Mm-hmm. So that seems like a really weird sidebar in the middle of that to talk about. Else. Anyway. But back to what Rachel was saying. Any other thoughts on, like Scrooge is certainly not a good poster child for how you should be, how you should use your money. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh, okay. What do you mean?
Because he's trying to be a good steward of his resources.
What? He's keeping them in a money bin. How is that a good steward?
Do you think Scrooge tithes?
I don't know him well enough.
I mean,
I think he should.
Watched this show about his life.
I was gonna say he reminds me more of the rich young ruler that can't give away his riches. That can't
That's
do
a
any
good
of those
point.
things.
All right,
I was
more
thinking
like that. He's more like that because he's commanded give away your possessions and follow me. Scrooge wouldn't be able to do that. He's got his number one dime. He's got his wealth and. Mm-hmm. And I mean, when he was in the jail cell, he was mourning the loss of his money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
The mental image I get is, the guy that built up barns.
Yes.
And then died.
Bigger ones. Yes.
Yep,
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Let me go back and tell everybody so that they don't have to suffer the same thing that I am. And so they've got the profits. And
too little, too late.
Yeah.
No, very good points.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
I think a lot of it is the way that he looks at his money. Like that is literally the most important thing to him.
Yeah.
He loves the kids, but it's just, and I think that's a part of it. Yeah, he saves his money and he's thriftier, but he just, it's all about gaining the money, keeping the money, gaining, he wanted the treasure so he could, show all of the people haha, I have it now. Look at me. I'm more important.
Exactly.
So
it seems very much that Scrooge's wealth has him more than he has it. For
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Interesting. Yep. I agree with that.
Yeah. Great point, though, Rachel. Any other thoughts on that from anyone? Going once, going twice.
That's twice, V times M80.
Oh my goodness, yes. Then we'll end with this one. I think if I missed someone that had one, I'm sorry. Shout out.
You're
say
missing everybody, Francisco.
Really?
Yes.
Am I?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
All right, Ashley. What spiritual speculation did you have?
Well, it wasn't so much a speculation, but it was a thought that came from this, because I remember the genie saying in the movie that the very first wish that Murloc ever asked for was to live forever.
Oh yeah.
And the concept of immortality was making me think about the concept of immortality versus eternal life. And it was just making me tie back to scripture and all the things that are promised to us in eternal life, and thinking along the lines, okay, here's one that came to me. John 17:3. Now this is the eternal life, that they know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. Like, Jesus is the
So he wishes for eternal life, and you're like, okay, it's now you know Jesus Christ.
That would be like the happy ending. That would be the happy ending. But knowing that this miserable sorcerer whose whole existence is about getting this lamp to just go after all the things that he desires. He's been around on the planet for centuries, almost over 1,000 years, and this is the only thing that he strives to live for. And just how empty and hollow immortality would be, and just how rich and full eternal life with Christ is. It just made me think of that dichotomy, like how lonely Murloc must be, that the only thing he cares about is his power.
Absolutely.
And how
that's why vampires are cautionary tales too.
How his power can be magnified through the lamp with his talisman, and all these things are just demonic and self-serving, and how things are just so much more meaningful with Christ in our life, and eternal life is so much more beautiful than anything that you would get for wishing on a demon's lamp, like, hey, I want to live forever.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet you do.
And I had thoughts along the lines of what Ashley was saying. It was like, you know, she at one point he mentions in the movie, or the genie mentions, like, he couldn't get tickets to this event, so he Atlantis. He sunk Atlantis. And it's just like
petty.
Destroyed.
There's a lot you can look into and unpack on Murloc's character. It's like he has some sort of trauma that he didn't deal with. Like he's hurt from people, and he's shut people down to the point where he's destroying nations to basically say, I can do this now and nobody can stop me, which makes it sound like, you know, he did not have a loving childhood, or so. I mean, that's really getting more in the psychological realm of things. It's a spiritual issue for us. That's a spiritual issue.
It reminds me of when Jesus said in Matthew 7 that they will know you by your fruits. So we'll know whether good or bad, you will be known by your fruits.
Absolutely.
And that's also, speaking of fruit, that's another reason that, at least I believe, we were kicked out of the garden, and that's not because oh my gosh,
exact sound that Adam made.
The original Wilhelm scream.
When the sword of the flaming sword poked him.
So we had to continue eating from the tree of life to stay immortal, essentially, if we were going to stay in the garden.
Right.
And it's because once Adam and Eve have the tree of knowledge of good and evil, they get kicked out, because if they still had access to the tree of life, they would keep living forever. Right. And in this just self-destructive, self-idolized state that we thought we knew better than God, we couldn't keep living, because we would just end up hurting each other more and more and more. Because my belief is the human heart is depraved ever since that original sin, and so we're just gonna seek we're gonna seek destruction and self-destruction the longer we live.
I thought it was they got kicked out from the tree of life because that was the consequence, because they were told they were gonna die if they did.
And they did, and they will. Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
because
you're taking it a step further.
Well, if God had left them in the garden, I don't think they would have died, because they would have still had access to life. Yeah. So
until they killed each other.
I suppose suppose.
Because that's what we do.
Yes, and that's why I think God kicked us out, because that wouldn't have been good for us, and then we would have spiraled even faster and worse if we were able to live forever.
The fall after the fall after the fall after the fall, the
something like
never-ending
that.
fall.
Yeah. Because if you can't die, you sort of get. I believe you sort of get bored. Since you're apart from Christ, you sort of get bored with life, and you just want to do crazier and more. I mean, think of. Have you guys all seen Groundhog Day? We've covered it on the podcast, but you haven't? Okay, spoilers for Ashley.
There's no spoilers. I know about the movie.
Okay, so he can't die, and he just comes up with more. He
does die many times.
Yes, well, that's the thing, though. He doesn't really. He can't stay dead, and he does all these things to serve his flesh, and then he just gets to this point where he just wants to hurt others. And Ashley and I have seen this other show,
Palm Springs.
Palm Springs, which
That was
takes it to a whole nother worse level, and is an excellent point in depravity of man. If can live forever, it's just because it just gets really bad. So, I think that's. I'm going off the rails. I've talked too much.
Eternity without Christ.
Eternity without Christ
equals horrid.
Exactly.
Equals bad.
And then the purge happens.
Oh my God. I have not seen that movie, Paul, but I get that.
Yeah, me neither. But it's something like Noah's Ark, I think.
Oh my God.
40-year flood to cleanse us all.
Anyway, let's see. Okay, yeah, we'll do one more. Because I want to do mine, guys.
Of course you do.
So mine comes from my speculation has to do with wait, hold on. Mark 8:35. Hold on, guys. There's one more thing I liked. The Bible. No. So this is from Mark 8:35. This says, "For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses." No, that's not it. That's not the one I want.
That's Mark 35.
Yeah, that's funny that's wishes, but that's not the one. That's not what I was pointing out.
What shall a man profit if he shall gain the whole world?
That's what I want. Yeah, I must have read the
and lose his soul.
Yes, for what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? So we sort of talked about this already with how Scrooge sort of just cares only about his money. But yeah, I thought it was interesting how he wanted not the biggest diamond, no, the biggest diamond mine, no, all the diamond mines. Yeah, he was like, Scrooge was really like escalating to wanting the whole world, but he ultimately lost everything, including his soul, in a way, because Murloc was able to take the lamp and wish all his stuff away. So that I just thought that was it was a very materialistic way of showing him losing it all. But I thought that was just interesting that he was going for everything, but really in the end, his relationships with others are the things that lasted, not his stuff. So.
And it was interesting, like at the very end of all of that, him realizing like these wishes, like they come with there's a bigger price to pay as a result of that. And he didn't want people to suffer like he and his family had suffered, and just talking about all the things that he wanted to do before he ultimately set the genie free, saying like, this should be buried, like this should not be a thing. You shouldn't have everything you ever wanted, like coming to that realization, like, wowza, no. What do I have to
I'm going to change my rating to classic.
Wow. But yeah, excellent point, Ashley. So that's the thing that came to me. But I feel like, we've already talked about that. But any other thoughts or anything else that's on your guys' heart or spirit that you want to share regarding this, or anything else? Nope. I'm seeing a lot of head wagging. All right. Well, in that case, somebody stop those punts. All right. Well, thank you so much for this awesome conversation. I didn't realize it was going to go from demons to the heart of man and eternity, but it is a great conversation. Thank you so much, Joe, Rachel, Ashley, and for all of you guys, and for me and Paul. We thank you I should say this instead. Thank you, you Reflex Capacitors, for supporting this content. We pray it was entertaining or thought-provoking. And let us know, about that whole live by passage. If you have a different interpretation of that and where that comes from, that'd be fantastic to hear from you. But for Ashley, for Joe, for Rachel, for Paul, and for myself, we bid you all shalom.
That means peace.
Oh, he got the baby right off the bat. Well done.
I had to practice ahead of time.
Oh, did you? Okay. So do you have to like sort of memorize where it is?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's incredible.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's eerie.
I was looking for pictures for you, Paul, for the website. And I saw this one you posted of like you at 10, 20, 30, and 40.
Oh, yeah.
You should have this one of you at like 5 or something and see
But
if
it didn't
people
look like this at 5.
But I'd be curious.
As a joke.
Yeah, as a joke. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It is an incredible filter. I don't know how they do it. But
Right?
Yeah, that's wild.
It's striking for sure.
But when
It's
I did
catfishing.
oh my gosh. When I did that filter, it did not look good.
Yours was creepy.
It was very creepy.
Very, very creepy.
Paul looks very cute with that filter on. But yeah, thank you again, you guys, so much for being here. I'm going to close the stream out, but before I do, thank you so much, Bobo. Let's see, can you do young Paul and bulky Paul at the same time?
No, not at the same time.
Oh my gosh. Bulky Paul, is that what we're calling him?
That's how
Cousin
Francisco
Bulky.
lasts for like 10 minutes straight.
Well, I'm sure I'm
You haven't
immunized
been
from
you have
it
not
now.
been desensitized from
I
that.
have been.
I am sure.
Just so you know what they're talking about. This is bulky Paul.
I told you, you are not desensitized.
I am.
You are not.
See,
Arnold.
Good. Yeah,
I can't do both at the same time.
That would be cool.
Sorry.
No, thank you.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. I'm gonna end the stream. Something we like to do here is what I call a stream face at the end of my streams, where we just make a silly face at the end. So if you'd like to join Joe and Rachel, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I guess you could just wave bye. But here's my silly face.